Hi, good morning, and welcome to the Global UGRAD Google Plus Hangout. We are the World Learning Global UGRAD team. We just wanted to go around really quickly and introduce ourselves, and then we were going to get into a little bit more of the general program information for you, and then we can go ahead and start answering a few questions that you might have about the program. So to get started, my name is Will O'Rourke. I'm a program officer here, and I work with students from Eurasia and Central Asia.
And good morning. I'm Amy Fisher-Brewy. I'm the Global UGRAD Program Manager, and I also work with the students from Near East Asia. My colleague Clara Agbortabi isn't with us this morning. She is on vacation, but she looks forward to working with all of you as well.
Good morning. My name is Roya Zahed, and I'm a program officer working with students from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia. It's really early here this morning, but we're excited to be here to get to meet all of you.
We all have coffee.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Lauren Perino, and I am a program associate on the Global UGRAD team. And with Roya, I'm there for students from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia.
And so the UGRAD team overall, there are 8 of us. You are getting half this morning. The reason for that is Bethany Gilchrist and Chris Sluter, who work with the students from the Western Hemisphere, are both sick this morning. So they send their regards, and we promise that we'll still be able to answer any of those questions for you. Before we get started, I thought I would just give an overview of what the Global UGRAD program is. I'm sure by this point, all of you have applied and learned a lot. I mean, maybe you're talking to your host university, but just so you get an idea of like the scope of the Global UGRAD program. This program exists in over 60 countries around the world. And I think you heard some of the regions. So it's in Eurasia, Central Asia, Middle East, North Africa, East Asia and the Pacific, South Asia, Western Hemisphere, Sub-Saharan Africa. This is truly a global program. Each year, there are about 250 students who will come to the United States to study for an academic semester. This year, those 252 students from 60 countries will go to about 72 universities. And we work with all of them throughout the year, all those universities, to prepare them. They had to go through a competition process to receive you at their campuses, the same way that you had to go through a competition to get on the program. So they're all really, really excited. What's another thing I was gonna say about the program? So this program is sponsored by the Department of State and is very prestigious. There are about 1,800 alumni around the world who have all been on the Global UGRAD program and can now consider themselves Department of State alumni. You're joining a very elite group of young leaders, and we hope that this semester that awaits you is going to be one with a lot of growth opportunities where you can explore community service opportunities, professional development, learn how to succeed academically in a different context. There's going to be a lot of challenges and a lot of fun, and throughout the whole process, we are here to support you. The purpose of today, like Will said, is just to kind of answer a lot of questions. I'm sure you have a lot of logistical questions or questions about academics. Hopefully Opal is preparing you for some of that, but we can take individual questions, whatever works for you. And if anyone has anything they want to add to that little spiel. Sure.
So just to follow up with what Amy had said earlier about the program, we did want to reiterate a few of the just overall goals of the Global UGRAD program that we really look for while you're going to be here in the United States. Just some things to touch on. We're always looking for participants who can step up, show some great maturity and some great responsibility in leadership positions. Service is a very key part of the Global UGRAD program. There is a requirement of 20 hours of community service while you're going to be on the program at your university. And we're also looking for academic excellence as well as cultural exchange. So when you are studying and while you're experiencing the United States, please take in mind that we do want you to succeed and be successful in your classwork and in your coursework, as well as, you know, fully, you know, engage your local community, as well as go out and get to see the United States and see what it actually is. So that being said, I'll turn it over to anyone else who wanted to just add in.
We wanted to make sure that you guys understood that, like, when we're here to answer all of your questions. So I think there's a section maybe on the right of your screen where you guys have all been saying, hello, hi, welcome from Laos. We're seeing all those in real time. So this is a place where you can type your questions, you know, take a look to see if anyone else has already had a question that you also share, so that you can just like +1 it, and then it will get prioritized in the list of questions. In case you guys are wondering what's happening now, well, first of all, we set up this session just for the students who are coming in the fall for academics, or who are coming in the fall for English language training. We will have another one of these sessions for students coming in the spring in November. So as you're talking to the other students at in your country, let them know that we will have another session for them. We're not excluding them from this opportunity. So things to expect in the next couple of weeks. Number one, you guys are going to continue to participate in OPAL. I know it's a fun module this week, practicing academic writing, which will be a very important part of your US experience. I think that's the number one thing that we hear students talk about being a big difference in the United States, is the amount of reading and writing that you're going to have to do in your classes. So it's important to stay up on all of that stuff. We are currently working with your university to arrange all of your travel, and we've already booked your flights, but then once you arrive at the airport in the United States, there will be someone to meet you. And we want to make sure that that will go seamlessly. So we'll pay for any shuttles, or you know, arrange any sort of transportation that you need to get to campus, and then make sure that your housing is also ready for you. And about a week, if not more, before you arrive, we will send you that email with all of the final travel details.
Cool. Well, it looks like we're on our first question, so I'm going to select it here. It's a question from Janice asking about course registration. Now, we just want to assure you that you might have heard that some of your Global UGRAD friends have been contacted by their US host institutions. Others haven't for course registration. That's okay. Each school kind of does it a different way. As exchange students, you will have an advisor working on campus. So if you are going to Maryville College, you will have an advisor there at Maryville College who you will be working with on course registration. Again, some people have already been contacted by that academic advisor, some haven't. Many of you, once you get to campus, that is when you'll be sitting down with your advisor and registering for courses. The question has to do with courses that are already getting filled up and what to do in that case. Just like any college student, when we were registering for courses, that's something that you kind of deal with. Classes fill up quickly. And what we encourage you to do is, you know, register for your backup classes if you're allowed to do that at this point. Once you get to campus, you'll be meeting with your academic advisor during your first week to really nail down exactly what your courses are going to be for that semester. Many American students, just like you, will be trying out classes in the first week or two, adding different ones, dropping different ones. So it's a time of a lot of movement in courses. So don't be too worried that courses are filled at this point. For Janice, just continue to talk to your academic advisor. If they're already emailing you, let them know maybe what your backup classes are. And then once classes get going in the first week or two, you might have a chance to just slip right into that class that you had wanted. So all that to say, don't worry if you haven't started the course registration process. Continue to work with your academic advisor on campus if they're emailing you. If you have any other questions about like who's my academic advisor going to be on campus, feel free to email your program team. So Janice, I think that would be, is that Bethany? If you're from the Western Hemisphere, that would be Bethany Gilchrist or Chris Sluder. So feel free to send them an email. You should have their email information, and they can help direct you in the right direction.
And just to add to what Roya said, I think I forgot to mention kind of what World Learning's role is in this whole program. So you are all sponsored by the US Department of State, and World Learning implements the program on behalf of the Department of State. So while you're here, we're here to support you, but also to monitor monitor the program and make sure that you are staying current with all of the program requirements. So when you do register for classes, there's a process in which you will also get your classes approved by World Learning. It's very easy, and we will go over this when you have your virtual orientation with us once you're on campus. So that's another little preview. Once you are on campus, we'll do another orientation with you.
I think I saw another question here. I'll read the question and any of you guys can take it. It's a question about if parents want to get in touch with you and they can't reach you, who should they contact? Anybody want to take that?
Can I take that?
Sure, yeah.
So as Amy had mentioned earlier before, we do host a virtual orientation where we are going to get all of your pertinent information that you have while you're on campus. So your dormitory, your contact information, and of course we're going to be constantly in contact with your advisor, who will be your main point of contact at your host university. What we do is we help facilitate and make sure that there's a constant communication bridge between you, the U.S. Embassy in your home country, as well as your advisors. So what we're making sure is that if there is ever a situation like that where the U.S. Embassy in your home country is contacting us, letting you know that your parents are trying to get in contact with you, we will reach out and try to make sure that we can facilitate that communication. So if they do have questions, they can't get a hold of you, my first recommendation is to contact the U.S. Embassy in your home country, and then they will pass that information along to us, and we'll make sure that we get that to you.
And I know another thing I would say is too, like, some of that's going to be your responsibility. We do our best to monitor you. We get your cell phone number. We're emailing you at least once a week. Believe me, you're going to be hearing from us a lot. You're going to be sick of us. But really, part of you being here is your independence, your leadership, the responsibilities that you are taking to come on this exchange. And we're trusting that if your parents want to hear from you once a week, you are emailing them or calling them once a week. We can do our best to make sure that you're touching base with your parents, but it's really going to be up to you as well. Of course, if they can't get a hold of you, yeah, like Will said, they can go through the U.S. Embassy and we'll try our best to do it. But do set up a communications plan with your family prior to leaving. Let them know, hey, I won't contact you during my travels, but I'll contact you when I arrive in the U.S. Or I'll email you within a few hours when I arrive in the U.S. Make those plans and be sure to follow through, because we don't want any worried parents. They have no reason to be worried. So just make sure that you're keeping up communication with them. Let's see, another question. This one right here. Oh. Yeah.
Sorry, we're just reading all the questions.
Yeah.
We're excited to see that you guys are all participating now.
Maybe this one. So I'll read this one. It says, I haven't been contacted by my host university. I haven't done anything about course registration other than submitting the course wish list. And also, when will they receive an acceptance letter from that university?
Great. That's a great question. Some universities work at different paces than other universities. They've got different processes and they've got different systems in place. I can promise you that the university you're attending, you are in good hands. You're going to be well taken care of. Some schools, again, the way they communicate, a lot of larger schools sometimes will send out a lot of these emails that you're maybe confused about. You're not really sure what this is. Some universities, they might be working just behind the scenes. And they are getting everything set up, but we can promise you that when you show up in the United States, you're going to have housing, you're going to have your meal plan, everything is going to be set up for you while you're here in the U.S. That being said, that is one thing that we can certainly follow up with the host universities and see what we can do in terms of making sure that they issue some type of letter if that is something you needed for your home university. And yeah, just to let you know, don't worry, a lot of these universities work at their own paces. So they are individual, so.
Cool.
And moral of the story, don't stress.
Yeah.
When you get there, everything will be taken care of. It's sometimes, it's good to get things set beforehand, but there's also just a lot of logistical things that happen once you arrive.
This question. It says, hi, I'm wondering how the first days in the US will look. Do I need to bring anything? Will I have a chance to do anything before classes start? You want to take it?
Okay, so the first few days that you arrive in the US are going to be, they're going to be overwhelming and they're going to be awesome. It's one of these experiences that sometimes students get really sad or really stressed out, but later think of it as like this incredible challenge that they've overcome. So yes, you will have a chance to do things before classes start. You will arrive in time for international student orientation, which will be an opportunity for you to meet other international students at your university, hear about differences in US culture, and just kind of start to feel a little grounded on campus. Things that you might want to bring with you, bring things that you really can't live without. I feel like you can buy pretty much anything you need here. Amazon Prime will become one of your best friends. There's a student rate. I wish I could get it. So you might want to bring, if you have a favorite shirt, like favorite clothes that you really don't want to spend a semester without, some pictures of your family, those really special things from home that you are going to miss a lot. Try to bring those, but everything like shampoo, clothes, all that type of thing, you can buy pretty easily in the United States. I mean, and definitely bring some clothes, but you don't have to bring a ton.
Just to add on to that, another great thing too is that as international students, you are going to be ambassadors for your country, both at your university and for the U.S. Department of State. We do have a surprise workshop that will be coming up that we're certainly working on. But if you have any anything from your home country that you'd like to show, that you'd like to present in a presentation, that's always welcome. That's always a great thing to have.
As the lights are off, I'll just.
This is kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
Can we make shadow puppets?
Oh, well, you have to do it one more time.
Okay.
Our next question is actually, we have two questions on there about workshops. So I want to read the questions, the gist of it, and then Lauren will answer it. Pretty much people are asking, when are the workshops, and if they're going to miss it. Because the question is, my classes end on December 22nd, I'm leaving on the 23rd, am I going to miss the workshop?
Sure. Do not worry. Everyone will get to go to the workshop. No one will have to miss a workshop. We know when you're leaving the country, so don't worry. We've got that covered. We're prepared. So everyone here for just the fall semester, you'll have one workshop, and then everyone here for the spring, or who was here in the fall and the spring, you'll have another workshop in the spring. So when time gets closer, we'll provide you more details on that. But don't worry, everyone goes.
Yeah. Any other things at the workshop you want to share? Any thoughts? What is it
It's
about?
awesome. It's the best part.
Yeah, the themes of the workshop that we really like to talk about are leadership, professional skill building, and how to prepare for reverse culture shock, which seems like months and months away to be thinking about that. But in the same sense that you'll probably have cultural adjustment coming to the US, we know that going back home, it might feel like a big change as well. So we'll talk about strategies and how to go home, how to share about your US experience with all of your friends and your family. But for now, you just worry about coming here, and we'll take care of the workshop. Let's see. Oh, it's a question about flights. If someone wants to take this, it says, how are we going to know about our flights? Are we going to travel alone to our host states?
So because all of you are at a different university, most of you have different start dates, which means you will be flying alone. That's pretty much it. Like I said, we will send you an email about a week, little more, before you depart your home country, and that will have all of your arrival information. That first step onto the airport is going to be the start of a really great journey, and it's when you really want to be prepared and you get to start showing your independence.
Just to add on to what Amy had to say about flights, did want to let you guys know that we are going to be following you guys in real time throughout your entire flight. So if there is any issue, if for some reason, you miss a connection, or if there's like a long layover, or if you're really, if there's something that's going on, please feel free to send us like a WhatsApp message. We have, variety of different types of applications and different types of things that we can talk to you directly about. And also, have some peace of mind knowing that your entire flight has been paid for and taken care of. So if there is any type of bump in the road, if there is anything that you run into, please know that we are going to make sure, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that you get to your destination. So we're not going to leave you out there like, you're not going to be stuck in an airport somewhere. You are definitely going to get back to your university. So.
And we send you all of our cell phone numbers. So throughout travel, like Will said, you can send us a WhatsApp message, Facebook, whatever. We monitor all of that, and you'll have so much contact information for us.
I want to read this one here. It says, someone had noted that somebody else from their country is going to be in the U.S. for a year. They're only going to be here for one semester, and they're wondering, are they still going to get the full experience? Are they going to still have chances to get the most out of a program in one semester? The answer is yes. The second answer is, and a lot of that is up to you. We really encourage you to set goals while you're here. How many times do you want to go into the city? How many states do you want to visit? How many people do you want to meet each day? Do you want to eat with somebody new in the cafeteria each week? These are sorts of goals that you can set to ensure that you are getting the most out of your semester. Coming here in the fall is really fun, especially arriving in the fall. That is when the big orientations, everybody is starting school. So there's a lot of activity that first month of school. Football season is really big in the US, and that's in the fall. So a lot of college campuses have big football games going on. There's so many extracurricular clubs and activities going on. So the answer is yes, you can get very involved on campus. You can look online right now to see what sort of activities happen on campuses, but during that first week, you'll be introduced to all these different clubs that you can attend, from international student clubs to karate clubs, cooking clubs, whatever it is that you're interested in. Don't hesitate and don't wait to start getting involved in those. I think the best advice that we hear from Global UGRAD students is hit the ground running, which means get here, start making friends, start trying out new things. Even if you're shy, maybe just break out of your shell a little bit and try new activities. And we'll be here encouraging you to do the same. Find another buddy and try new activities together. All right. Okay. Question. Hi, I wanted to know how much free time we'll have to be doing activities that we want, and how will we choose the type of work we'll do for community service?
So I can take that on. So choosing the type of activities that you want to get involved with, it depends on what your interests are. Usually your university will have a website where you can look up all the different organizations that they have. Sometimes you can look through that by type of activity, and then you can choose as many of those as you want. And you should probably also note, just because you start going to one club at the beginning and then you decide you're more interested in another club, that doesn't mean you have to stick with all of those. You can just go to the ones that you figure out that you really like. There's not a commitment to stick with those at American universities. So there's a lot of choices. Try them out, see what you like. And how to choose the type of community service work that you'll be doing. Your schools will be able to help offer you different opportunities, so you'll have some say in the type of community service work that you're doing. You're not going to be forced to do a certain type of community service work. There will be different options, and then it's a lot up to you as well if you want to go seek other options in your community at your school.
Maybe one thing else to add, just about academic schedules. Sometimes it can be very different than the academic schedules that you might see at your home universities. A lot of times you will have you know, maybe 1 or 2 courses, or maybe 3 courses in one day, and maybe just 1 course on another day. So really planning out your schedule and trying to optimize as much time that you have. So when you're talking about free time, a lot of the US education system is built around the idea of studying outside of the classroom. So you will probably have some readings. You'll definitely have, you know, assignments that you're going to be working on your own, maybe in the library. So do take in mind and remember to budget a lot of that in to make sure that you are successful not only in the classroom but also outside of the classroom.
Here's a question about money. I knew it would come. The question is, how will I receive my monthly stipend, and how much is it?
There's a couple questions. I've seen a few through here about banking and finances, so I'm just going to kind of lump them together. First of all, we will cover this in detail when you arrive for your virtual orientation with us once you're on campus. When you arrive, we will send a welcome folder to your host institution that will be waiting for you when you arrive on campus. And in that folder, it will have your first check. Your monthly stipend in general is $300. The first check will be a little bit more because you get a $100 settling in allowance, $250 for your books, $300 for the month of September, and then you'll also get prorated money for the month of August, depending on when you arrive. So that first check is going to be quite large, and then you will have to make it last until October 1st. So you will get paid $300 monthly the first of the month. Someone had asked who is going to help you set up a bank account. That is something that your academic advisor or international student advisor on campus will help you do. You are free to choose whatever bank works best for you. It's not something that we mandate. It's you can choose whatever you want. It is important that you have a US bank account because we will ask for some financial information so that we can do direct deposit into your bank account. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the question is, will they get credit cards? How do they get credit cards?
Credit cards, that would be up to your bank whether or not they would decide to give you a credit card. And just as a warning, the answer is probably no. In order to get a credit card, you would need to have credit history and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, you don't want to mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, you'll probably have a debit card. And then you'll also just be able to use the variety of ATMs around. I think a good piece of advice that we've heard from other Global UGRAD students is to choose a bank that is convenient to campus. You don't want to, go downtown 15 minutes away and find your bank there and then realize that there are no ATMs or no branch services on campus.
Cool. Just in case there are new people who have popped in to the Q&A recently, I'm just going to read this question that says, when do we get our flight ticket information? And I just want to repeat that about a week and a half or 2 weeks prior to your arrival in the US, you'll be receiving what's called an arrival email from your program team. So students from East Asia and the Pacific, it'll be from us, and so on and so forth. So be checking your email. In that email, called the arrival email, it'll have your flight ticket. It'll have information about who's picking you up from the airport and taking you to campus. It's also going to have some tips about what you're going to be experiencing when you get to immigration, when you come to the US, what papers to show, and things like that. So keep your eye out for that email. It's going to have all the information you need. I'd recommend even printing it out and taking it with you on your travels. All right, here's a question here. Can we do some part-time job if time permits?
No.
That's it.
You are not allowed to work while you're in the United States.
All right, we'll take this one really quick too in case there are any people. It says, are there any special trips organized by World Learning? I think there's just that one. We have that end of program workshop that we had mentioned just like a month prior to you leaving the US. So that's the only one that we organize, is that right? Yeah.
Your university may organize other trips, but those are up to you, and that's also a cost that you would need to cover out of your stipend.
Mm-hmm.
But we will cover the cost of the end of program workshop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm on this one. What sorts of certificates do they get on completion of this program?
Great. So typically at the end of the program, a few months after you've returned back home, we will be sending out certificates to all students who have completed, fully completed all the requirements of the program. So as long as you're in good academic standing, you've completed all your community service hours, you're up to pace with all of your documentation, you're going to get a great certificate coming directly from the U.S. Department of State, saying that you are a alumni of the program. Also, you guys should be involved in OPAL. We will be providing certificates for everyone who's successfully completed all or a good portion of the OPAL modules. We hope that you complete all of them, of course. And those are 2 certificates you can certainly count on receiving.
And I just want to define what is good academic standing. Good academic standing for the Global UGRAD program is a 2.0 GPA, and that is very achievable. So it's on a 4-point scale. 4 is an A, 3 is a B, 2 is a C, 1 is a D, 0 is an F. And we know that you are all brilliant young people in your home countries, and if you apply yourself to the work and to showing up to class, you will have no problem getting that 2.0. But going to class and doing the work is very important, and there will be a lot of work, and it will be very consistent. Also, just in case there have been people who've popped in, the community service requirement, you have to do 20 hours of community service. And those are some of the big requirements in order for you to receive a successful certificate of completion.
Awesome. I'm gonna pick this one from Thailand, Swadika. It says, do we have to purchase the health insurance at the university, or does World Learning do that on our behalf? You wanna take it?
So, World Learning has purchased a health benefits plan on your behalf. So you have that plan. It's already been purchased for you.
Yeah, so the answer is no, you don't have to do a thing. We've got it taken care of. When you arrive to the US during the virtual orientation that we'll have with you when you're on campus, we'll tell you all about how that health benefits plan works. But if you have any specific medications that you are taking currently, we really recommend that you meet with your doctor and get a prescription so that you have it during your time in the US for the full semester or the year, because that's a pre-existing condition, meaning that you had that condition before coming to the US. So you want to make sure that you have your medications for that, because it's going to be harder to get in the US. But if you get injured while you're here or sick while you're here, that's when our health benefits plan will kick in for you. Oh.
Food.
This question says, what if my university doesn't have a cafeteria? So maybe we can just talk about meal plans in general. Sure. Go for it.
Okay. So for the most part, most universities in the United States, I believe all universities in the United States, should have some sort of food services or a cafeteria of some sort located on campus. What we do as we're learning is make sure that while we're registering for housing, we're also making sure to get you the largest meal plan. So you guys are going to be taken care of in terms of meals. Typically, you'll go in, you'll like swipe some type of card, or they'll kind of punch some type of card, which allows you to access that cafeteria or access a dining hall. It's located on your campus. Again, typically it's somewhere between I think like 19 to 21 meals. It depends really by the university, but that should really help out in terms of cost too. I know some students like to buy things off campus, but this is to make sure that you are taken care of. So don't worry about food. You should be getting at least 3 square meals a day. So.
And when you arrive on campus, make sure to talk to your advisor on campus if you have any questions about the meal plan. None of you should be going hungry.
No. You guys have all heard about American meal sizes, right? It's gonna be a lot of food. I saw a question here about travel. There's a couple of questions about travel. So this one specifically says, can I visit New York? I think there's another one that says, can I visit DC, and how do you arrange travel you want to talk about travel?
Sure. So travel while you're in the US, yes, you can do it. However, anytime that you travel off campus, you will need to let your program team know. So if you are from Vietnam, you would need to let Roya and Lauren know. There's a form on the online student portal that we will cover. This is hilarious. There's a form on the online student portal that we will cover during your orientation. Another question about travel, the only limitation really on travel is it has to be during your Global UGRAD program. So the dates that we have already set with your university, those are very firm. So you can't come before, you can't come after, you can't stay later in December. You do have to return home directly at the end of your program. And that's something that is in the terms and conditions. And just make sure that you leave when you're supposed to.
Cool. So I answered that top one. This is going back to community service. How do we notify and confirm with us, the World Learning team, about the numbers of hours of community service and the type of community service that you'll be doing? Do we have to have a certificate or any confirmation from a supervisor to let us know about how many hours you're doing? That's a good question.
I can share that. So you'll have a form that you'll be filling out for us to tell us about the type of community service that you were doing and let us know a little bit about your experience with it. And then also we ask you to take pictures during your community service and submit a picture to us of you doing your community service.
Yeah, pretty much we'll say yes to anything. We really want you to get off campus to do community service, so keep that in mind. But anywhere that you're helping the community and giving back, because they're hosting you, so this is your way of saying thank you almost by serving the community. So anything that you find, whether it's, I don't know, what are cool things that people do? A lot of people feel like animals, they go to animal shelters.
Working in soup kitchens.
Retirement homes.
Special Olympics.
You can, working with refugees in the US.
Oh, cool. A question, this question is just about what kind of happens during the fall semester in the US as far as holidays. So that's between August and December. So what do we celebrate, guys, in the fall?
Thanksgiving. And Halloween. Are there other holidays?
I feel like there are sometimes universities will have like an extended weekend for like the fall break, which kind of breaks up the semester a little bit. So there are opportunities to certainly like have some breaks on campus if you wanted to go travel, if you want to take a couple days. You will certainly get those opportunities. So certainly take advantage of them, and we do encourage you to travel. So
another fun thing I think about US culture is we find any reason to celebrate. One of my personal favorite days is National Talk Like a Pirate Day. Not a real holiday, but you can still celebrate it. It's totally up to you what you decide to celebrate. But Thanksgiving will be a really good one too.
And look out in your local communities too, because some local communities have their own special little festivals as well. For example, if you're in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania is all about apples in the fall. So you'll find festivals all about apples, and there are different things like that all over the United States. So look out for those. Those are fun.
This is a fun question. Oh, where did it go?
Right there.
Oh, okay. This question is from Christine. Hi, Christine. It says, how many Global UGRAD students will study in the US this fall? That's a good question.
So this year, there will be 252 Global UGRADs studying in the US. This fall, there will be about 135. So it's pretty even between the two semesters. And I can get exact numbers later.
This one's been on here for a little bit, so I'll answer it. The question is asking about the US Studies course. What counts as US Studies? What doesn't? How do you make sure that it does or it doesn't?
And hi, Mohammed or Hamodi. I got your email this morning. It was a little bit early, so I didn't have a chance to respond. I will make sure to answer all of the questions about, what courses can count as a US Studies course. But in general, for everyone, think about a course that has maybe United States or American in the title, US history, US literature. Your advisors can help you with more kind of unique courses like jazz in the United States, or African American history, or Native American history, or something that is specific to your region. But it should be something that is very specifically about the United States. So sociology courses, like Sociology 101 is often one that a lot of universities like to say, oh yes, this is US studies, and they kind of push it on you. It doesn't work. Does that answer the question? Yeah, that answers it.
Yeah, that answers it. I'll take this one. This says, by leaving campus, do we have to let you know every time we leave, even if we go out for a meal? No. We do like to know what's going on in your lives, but the only time you have to inform us by submitting a travel form that we were talking about is if you're spending the night off campus. So during the day, if you're leaving campus to hang out or going to a friend's house, that's totally fine. We just want to know if you're going to be off campus for a night or a couple of nights, so that if we have to contact you for any reason, we know how to get a hold of you. So we'll be getting the address where you're staying and a number through which to reach you. If you're going on a day trip, you don't have to let us know, but you can send us pictures after you to show us what you did. How about this one? I've seen a couple of questions just generally about transferring credits to the U.S. Bless you.
Excuse me.
About transferring credits to come to the U.S. and then transferring them also when you go back home to your home institutions. You want to take that?
You got it?
So just about the relationship between your home university and your host university, just to reiterate some of the terms and conditions that are part of the program. The State Department and World Learning typically do not facilitate any university-to-university transfers of credits. Please remember that any university credit that you are taking from your home university to your host university wouldn't really be something that would be relevant, considering you should be going back to your host university, your home university after you've completed the program. The other thing too is that that is a question that you should probably take up with any of your administrators or any of your university staff in your home university at home, because a lot of that is dependent upon what their requirements and what they expect from you. Again, I know that some students have had that opportunity to do that, and again, it is a case-by-case situation. So please, that's something to double check with your home university to see if they're willing to accept credits that you receive at your host university here in the United States.
Awesome.
We're doing a little research.
There's one question on here that I want to know. Just to reiterate here, I see a lot of likes on this question. It says, will there be somebody from World Learning picking us up at the airport? The answer is actually no. We're in Washington, D.C., and you guys are going to every other state. There are a couple that are coming to D.C. to American University, but we actually won't even be at the airport for them. We won't be there, but somebody from your host community or a taxi driver with your name will be there to pick you up. Once again, the arrival email that you'll be getting about 2 weeks prior to departing your home country will have all that information. You won't get to see our faces in person, actually, until the workshop. But until then, we'll just be digital, just like this. Skype, phone calls, emails, and you'll hear a lot.
Unless you come to DC on your own, in which case, please stop by. We want to get to see you.
Okay. Let's see. Here's a question about just getting contact information for your World Learning Program team and how you do that. Yes, you can ask in the Facebook group, but also the email address that you might have been getting emails from, exchange programs, is that? Yeah, exchange programs at worldlearning.org. If you don't have your advisor's email information, that's a good one. So exchange programs worldlearning.org. If you email your question there, we will then funnel it to the right advisor so that they can get back to you. If you already know your World Learning advisor's email address, you don't need to email Exchange. Just email us directly.
Another good place to look for is on the OPAL syllabus. It has
Great.
all of our personal email addresses on the side, so you can also find it that way.
Great. Let's see. Here's a question about public transportation and how that works in the US.
So you guys are at a lot of different universities, so I think public transportation is different at every university. However, there will be some sort of maybe a shuttle that the university uses or a bus system. Depending on the size and location of your university will depend on how easy it is to walk places or take a bus or take subway, any of those types of things. A lot of you are in more close-knit, more like smaller, more intimate communities. And I think in that case, you will probably make friends with people who have cars and you'll be able to get around. I think a unique thing about the US campus is that they're all like little cities. They're all very, you can get anything you need within walking distance of your dorm.
I wish I could find it. There was a question here about dorms.
While you're searching, I did want to just include one thing. Please take in mind that the United States is a very diverse place, and you guys are going to be in so many different locations. I don't have the number on the top of my head, but I believe it's something like 74 host universities we've got. You guys are in places like Texas, Maine, Virginia, California, Colorado. A lot of these places can be very different in terms of climate and just in terms of like how things are. You could be in small towns, you can be in large cities, you can be in rural areas. Do take in mind that considering it is the fall semester, it will start getting a little bit more chilly. So just take that in mind when you're packing, and also remember that when you are showing up on campus.
Great, so I found the question I was looking for. The question is simply asking about dormitories. Will they be living with students from all around the world? And I thought we could take the opportunity to talk generally about your living situations in the US.
So at your dormitory, again, this depends by school. Some of you may be living with students from all around the world, and we hope that a good majority of you will be living with students who are from the United States. That way you can get a deeper understanding of the culture in the United States and to facilitate those bonds with people here. And then if you're in a dorm with people from all around the world, that's a great way to get to know about other cultures as well. And a lot of getting to know other people will be up to you and getting involved on campus. But the dormitory, it depends on the schools that you're at. There's a lot of different situations, but all of them will be great.
Do you guys want to talk a little bit about what it's like to live with somebody in a dorm room?
Sure.
Any tips?
So when I was in university, I shared one room with 3 other guys. It was really crowded at some points in times, and I would say just remain flexible and you remain kind of open-minded. People are coming from all over the place. This is a brand new experience, not only for you guys, but even for American students. Sometimes it's their first time away from home, and it can be a little bit of an adjustment for everyone. And just remember that, go into it with an open mind, and remember, just do your best to, kind of branch out, get to know people. And, typically you're going to be in a situation where there's a lot of young people around you. A lot of people are going to have, the same thoughts and the same ideas. And, it's a great place to, meet people, especially like in your dormitories. Sometimes they'll put on events. They'll do competitions and things like that. So it's a great way to kind of get involved, at least in the community that is just the university itself.
Cool. And just to add from the lady perspective, my dorm room when I was in college, I shared with one other girl. but we shared a bathroom on the whole floor. So I think that's still really common in a lot of dorms, is that there will be, you know, one bathroom that a lot of different people share, and it'll have multiple showers and, you know, multiple stalls, all that sort of thing. It's fine. It's a little, if you're used to having your own bathroom and own room, it can be a bit of adjustment, but I think open communication is really the key to having a good roommate relationship and to kind of adjusting to this new living environment.
Cool. And to add on to that too, with open communication, you'll usually have a resident assistant. So if you are having some sort of difficulty or you're having trouble expressing yourself to your roommate, don't hesitate to contact your resident assistant or whatever that student might be who's on. There's usually a student who lives in the dorm who's there to help you and to help make your living situation great. So don't hesitate to go to them.
Here's a question about host families. Someone is mentioning that a friend they had heard is going to be having a host family. Will it be the same for you? Host families are really great extras that some of our host institutions have. I will say off the bat that I do not think that the majority of the U.S. host institutions that we have in the U.S. have a host family program. If you do have one, awesome. Please take advantage of it. If you don't, there'll just have to be other ways where you engage with U.S. families. And you can figure those out once you're on campus talking to your academic advisor. But just to let you know that some schools do have a formal host family program and some don't. And World Learning, actually, we don't help facilitate that. That comes directly from the host institution. Questions are, can we do internships during the program? And do you think that it'll be possible with all the academics and volunteering that they're doing throughout the semester year?
So this is once again a time when how you structure your time will depend whether or not it's possible to do an internship. We absolutely support you in doing an internship as long as it's unpaid. So this goes back to, can I work in the United States? And the answer being no. You can do an unpaid internship, but you would need to make sure that you are succeeding academically and that you're getting your community service hours completed before doing that internship.
Check my books.
Sure. This question is about, oh, here it is. This question is about books. Someone seems to have already heard that we provide we talked about the book stipend, which is $250. But this question is saying, my books are gonna be way more, what happens?
Sure. So, so about books, this is a great question. In the United States, typically we, a lot of courses require some pretty expensive textbooks. And this is something that we're totally aware of. And what we do typically ask of students is that you go ahead and use the money that's in your first check that's going to be arriving on campus. So as Amy had pointed out before, you're going to get the first month as well as usually the second month, as well as that $250 book stipend, as well as a moving in allowance. So it is going to be a pretty significant sum of money. With that, you can go ahead and borrow books. Some students like to go off Amazon, some students go through their bookstore, some students go through off-campus bookstores. A lot of times you can borrow or rent books at a lot cheaper price so you don't have to buy them. And one thing to keep in mind is that if you do go over that $250, World Learning will help you help reimburse you for that money. So you will get that money back eventually at some point in time. And another great thing to also remember is that at the end of the semester, you should always try to sell your books back or try to find a way to get the books back, because you can sometimes get a pretty decent refund. So it's a great way to just kind of budget your money. And there's some great tips that you can certainly talk to us about or your advisor on campus in finding the best way to kind of minimize those costs to make sure that you're getting all of your books that are required. And that's one thing that I did want to mention, is that we will reimburse you over the $250 only for course books that are required by your university or by your professor. So a lot of times when you look in the syllabus, you'll see, 3 books are required for this course, and then there's maybe multiple readings that, you know, they just recommend, we cannot pay for those recommended books, but we certainly will pay for your required books.
And I notice, I just took a look at the time. We'll take a couple more questions, but we'll try to wrap it up in the next 5 minutes or so.
Is there any that you guys see on my own tackle? The one reason we're just scrolling through some of these questions, and some of them are quite specific about your personal travel days here and there. If you have very specific questions about, like, I need to know about this class, or my flight looks kind of strange, please reach out to your World Learning Program advisor for those, so that we don't have to broadcast your message here, but just send us an email and we are happy to look at individual cases, no problem. Or if you haven't heard from your campus advisor and you're getting a little bit concerned, that's another reason. Just email your World Learning advisor and we'll let you know their contact information, or we'll just say they'll contact you soon. But let us know and then we will work with you that way. Let's see.
So we're talking about question.
This one?
Top that one.
Oh, okay. Sure. This question is, how many days will the workshop in DC be?
You guys are very excited about the workshop already. It's going to be, just to let you guys know, it's going to be later on in the semester. It's going to be kind of towards the tail end of November. Don't worry. There's a lot of surprises. There's going to be a lot of amazing things that we've got planned for you. But, you know, you will get some time in Washington. And, you know, there are some great opportunities. And we'll leave it at that because, you know, that is a little bit farther down the road. But don't worry. Great things to come.
I feel like we have to answer this question. Yeah. There is a question that says, I haven't seen snow ever in my life. So when does it start snowing? I love that you're very excited to see the snow. And we see that you are going to Old Dominion University in Virginia. So let's see, in Virginia, it probably starts snowing.
Will's from Virginia.
Oh yeah,
From
when does
Virginia.
it start snowing?
So I will say this, it doesn't start snowing in Virginia until about January. So unfortunately you will probably miss it.
There's a chance.
There is a possibility though that, you know, every now and then we do get random snow in December. You're going to be in the Tidewater area, so it is a little bit warmer.
You can travel somewhere if you want to go see snow. Let's see, the northern part of the U.S. might start getting snow in December. Right?
If you start going out towards the west, towards like the mountains of Virginia, there's certainly a good possibility that there's snow there.
Mm-hmm.
But the closer you are to the ocean, which sounds like you're going to be a little bit closer to the water, the likelihood kind of diminishes a little bit. So.
But also just to say that it could snow anytime.
Yeah.
We have really weird weather. So don't give up hope.
Yeah.
And also some of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see snow. And then 2 weeks later, when it's still snowing, you're going to say, I hate snow. I never want to see this again. So there will be an opportunity, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can go find snow.
Yeah.
You're here for sure. Maybe as sort of a last little wrap up, we can talk about, there is a question here of the things that you should bring to the US, little things, and I think we went over it earlier, but maybe we can just talk about a couple of things that we would bring if we were you coming to the US. I don't know, do you want to start with some ideas?
Sure. So some of the things that I can think of right off the top of my head are for plugging in your appliances, your phone charger, you're going to probably want an adapter. We have different plugs in the United States. Other things. Food from your home country, chances are you're not going to be able to find exactly the same food as you have in your home country. So if there's something that you really want to have while you're in the US, or if you really want your new friends to be trying while you're in the US, take it with you. They'll love you.
Please don't upset US Customs and Borders and Customs.
Excellent.
I would say too, I think this was mentioned, but a lot of UGRADs love bringing their home country's flag. I would say pack a flag, pack a couple of pictures from home. Some people like just really seasoning, like if you have like a special, I don't know if you can bring spices, do that, like a seasoning or something that you can put on food when you're here just to help adjust your your stomach to the food here, but flags would be a really big thing. And if you don't bring one, at least I would say buy one here, just like a blank journal, so that you can be writing about your experiences while you're in the US. But other than that, I mean, you can find everything that you need here, I think.
I'm going to take this question to a more personal level. I'm trying to think of the things that I took with me when I lived abroad. I'm a very tall person, and they did not sell my shoe size, or they did not sell my feet aren't that big, but like, they didn't sell my shoe size in the country, so I had to make sure to bring my running shoes, hiking shoes, that sorts of thing. I also took pictures of my family, and my roommate had given me like a little stuffed animal that I took everywhere and would like take pictures with it and send it back to her. I agree very much with taking a journal and really reflecting on all the experiences that you have, because things are going to come at you so fast, and it'll be amazing to look back on the experience and kind of read your impressions.
One thing that I would definitely recommend would be, like, as Roy had said, bring a flag is a fantastic idea. Also bring like a national costume. Sometimes, like, there's presentations, and again, it's always interesting. I think people find that very fascinating. For me personally, I'm very much a minimalist. I bring just like clothes, like my toothbrush and like deodorant, and that's about it. Wherever I go, one important thing to remember is that there are usually like flight limitations on how much you can bring in terms of kilos. I would personally say don't pack your suitcase to the brim. Don't like fill up your suitcase, leave some space, because there's a strong possibility, almost 100% chance that you're going to probably have souvenirs or things that you want to bring home with you from the US, and you don't want to leave them behind. So make sure to plan ahead and think about things that you might be bringing back with you back home. So leave some space in your suitcase.
I think with that, we'll just kind of wrap up and say thank you for all of you for joining us today. If you have more specific questions, you now have seen all of our faces. You kind of know us. So make sure to email your program team, and they'll be happy to answer any more questions that you have. Once again, we will be in touch about a week before you're supposed to travel to give you your flights and all that ground transportation information. Until then, thanks again, and enjoy the rest of Opal, and we'll talk to you again during our virtual arrival orientation once you're on campus. Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy.